All right, here we are at the final review of our Invisible Interference series. And if you're here, it means you've made it all the way through, which is awesome. So in this explainer, we're going to tie everything we've learned together. Let's get right into it. And right off the bat, seriously, a huge congratulations to you. You have officially completed the entire 10-part tutorial, Invisible Interference, How Radio Frequency Interference Affects Your Everyday Life. This has been a pretty deep dive into a complicated topic, so taking the time to really understand it, that's a major accomplishment. The whole point of this series, which is a public awareness campaign by RFI Detectives and Virtualization Options LLC, was to take you on a journey. We wanted to go from just a basic idea of this invisible world to a real appreciation for how it truly impacts everything, from something as simple as a minor annoyance with your Wi-Fi to something as serious as critical public safety operations. So let's take a quick look back at how we got here. All right, so let's do a little rewind, right? Let's go all the way back to the beginning. We kicked off our journey with the one core idea behind everything else, this invisible traffic jam that's happening all around us all the time. We started by defining radio frequency interference, or RFI. And what's great about this slide is the analogy we used. Remember that picture we painted? Imagine every single wireless device, your phone, your neighbor's new router, a baby monitor, all of it, trying to shout on the same busy street corner at the exact same time. That chaos, that's RFI. It's what happens when our invisible lanes of communication just get way too crowded and messages start getting dropped. So in that first chapter, we really just set the stage, We went over the basics of the RF spectrum, we talked about why this idea of signal congestion is becoming such a huge problem, and we pointed out just how many things in our daily lives completely depend on these invisible radio waves. Okay, so from that big kind of abstract idea, we brought it home, literally. We started looking at how this interference can cause real trouble right in your own house. And we kicked it off with a pretty pointed question, didn't we? I mean, it's one thing if your Netflix stream starts buffering, but it's a completely different story when the safety of your home is on the line. This is where we started to see the stakes get a lot higher. And this quote, man, it just hits the nail on the head. All those super convenient wireless cameras, smart locks, and video doorbells are absolutely fantastic until their communication line gets severed. Because they rely completely on radio waves, they can be disrupted or even totally blinded by interference. And that can create a really dangerous, false sense of security. So the big takeaway was that all that convenience came with a hidden vulnerability. So after we talked about the home front, we zoomed out. We started exploring how RFI isn't just a personal headache, but a pretty significant risk to public safety and some of our most critical infrastructure. And this, right here, is where the whole tutorial took a really critical turn. We moved past things like dropped calls and slow Wi-Fi to really understand that the consequences of RFI can be genuinely dangerous. When the right systems are affected, the results can be, well, catastrophic. And I mean, just look at this list. We're talking about the communication systems for firefighters and paramedics, the navigation that pilots and ship captains depend on to keep everyone safe. Even the incredibly complex networks that manage our power grid and our financial systems. Every single one of these relies on clean, reliable radio signals, and every single one is vulnerable to interference. But listen, the whole point wasn't just to scare you, right? The final part of the series was all about empowerment. It was about turning this new awareness you have into real, meaningful action. It's about becoming part of the solution. This idea right here is probably the biggest takeaway from the entire series. The RF spectrum, it isn't infinite. It's more like a national park or a clean water supply. It's a shared resource that we all have a collective responsibility to take care of. And right now, that resource is under a whole lot of stress. So you might be thinking, okay, what can I actually do about all this? Well, it really boils down to these three simple but really powerful steps. Number one is awareness, which, hey, you got that now. You understand this invisible world. Second is action. Making smarter, more informed choices about the wireless devices you buy and use. And third is advocacy, knowing how to report interference problems when you see them and supporting policies that protect this vital resource for everyone. And that's it. That brings us right back to where we are now. We started this whole thing with a pretty simple question. What is RFI? And we've ended up here with you. You have the knowledge now. So I'll just leave you with this one final thought.
The radio spectrum is an invisible, absolutely vital public resource. Now that you can see it, how will you help protect it?